Oh, my. Well, good afternoon, boys and girls. Yes, indeed. This is old Uncle Taz right here, along with Buford. This is the Homegrown Rock Show presented by Todd's Mudjacking right here at WQUD Vintage Radio. Yeah, this is Erie Quad Cities. And man, oh man, are we excited. Aren't we, Buford? He's so excited he's not even talking. That's how excited Buford is. We have got, man, what a guest we got, boys and girls. Call your friends. Call your enemies. Just for a moment, tell them to turn the radio on so they can listen to this. We are excited about it. So, boys and girls, yeah, please welcome to the WQUD Performance Parlor right here on the Homegrown Rock Show, Lojo Russo.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Uncle Taz. What up? How's the wife and the kids? Oh man, are they getting bed? Seems like just yesterday we were kids ourselves, raised in heaven, and well, those were the days. Now here we are, just a little more time, just me and you and a bottle of wine. No regrets, we'll leave the past behind. Start from where we left off. Yeah. Hello, my friend. Well, the years have been kind. You're looking great. Thanks, I'm doing fine. Are you still with that guy? Are you still working that job? Thought you hated, but could not lose. How's your mom and your dad? Oh, I'm sorry I hadn't heard the news. Well, here we are with a little more time. Just me and you and a bottle of wine. No regrets, we'll leave the past behind. Start from where we left off. Yeah. It's been too long since we sat around the fire singing our songs. Pass the bottle and rhyme. Oh man, didn't we have the time of our lives? Building castles in the sand, the world at our command. We could never die. Now here we are. Time, me and you and a bottle of wine. No regrets, we'll leave the past behind. Yeah, well now, here we are with a little more time. Just me and you and a bottle of real good wine. So if you don't mind, I thought we'd start from where we left off. Yeah.
Oh, man. Going to open the show, and that gets a bell ring.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Wow. Well, first off, of course, Welcome
you.
to the Homegrown Rock Show here by Todd's Mudjacking on WQUD. It's great to have you with us.
It is great to be here, old Uncle Taz. So much fun. I'm so glad we made this happen. Absolutely.
So we got to get some of the basics out of the way. Some of the stuff I always ask anyone that comes on the show. And so the first one is, of course, how'd you come up with the band name?
Well, over the years, I've actually been in quite a few bands. I was in a band called Cats Laughing, back in the day when I was just starting out as a little rocker and trying to figure stuff out. And some friends of mine said, "Hey, we got this kind of like Grateful Dead kind of tribute band and blues and stuff, and we need a bass player." And I said, "Great, I play the guitar." And they're like, "Yeah, but we have a bass and we need a bass player. So here you go, learn this." And I'm like, "Well, Phil Etch can do it. I can do it." Right?
Yeah. That's how everybody thinks.
Exactly. So I played bass in this kind of Grateful Dead dub, jam band, and we were called Cats Laughing because of a W.B. Yeats poem. It's so funny to make a cat laugh, and we all owned cats, and we're like, that never happens. Cats don't laugh. And I was in a band called I led a band called Funk's Grove, Lojo Russo and Funk's Grove, and we were named after a maple syrup grove along Route 66, just south of Peoria. So that was fun. But so my name is actually kind of an amalgam of the name I was given at birth. And it happened when a friend of mine was really drunk, and he was trying to admonish me, and he tried to use all three names, like they do, and they're like, "Lojo Russo." And I said, "Did you just say Lojo?" And he's like, "What?" And I've been Lojo ever since.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, see, yeah,
so if you ask me what my real name is, that is my real name,
okay.
Lojo Russo.
Yeah. I have people all the time. Did your mom and dad really name you Taz? Old Uncle Taz? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, it helps me because if someone comes up and calls me by my real name, that means they know me from way back.
Exactly. It's like, okay.
And then I can put him into perspective.
Context.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Do I owe you money?
We're either related or we went to school together.
Yeah. So that's always a good one. So let's start hometown.
Right on. Hometown. Well, that's. See, all my answers are like 50 more questions. So I was born in Southern California. Raised for a time in Northern California.
So wait. Where at in Southern? Because I spent all of the 80s in San Diego County.
So that's about where I was.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then a little time in San Jose. So I'm a NorCal SoCal girl.
Yeah.
And then spent most of my life in Minneapolis, Minnesota, up until about 15 years ago. When I met a very nice girl in Ohio and found out she came from Iowa. So thank goodness. It could have been worse. Could have been Ohio.
Yeah, there you go. And then here you are.
And then here I am in lovely Erie, Illinois.
Well, but that's not where you live.
No. I live in the Quad Cities. I went from the Twin Cities to the Quad Cities. Yes.
There you go.
Not enough cities
good.
for me up north, so I had to come down.
And it's a lot colder up there.
It's a lot colder up there, but when you come from California, I've actually got a song from an older album called Hollywood Snow. And Hollywood Snow is, so back in the 30s and 40s, in early filmmaking, if they wanted snow, they would use soap flakes. Yeah. And it would just be these big, fat, flat, shiny things, coming down out of the rafters. And so that's what I call Hollywood Snow anytime you see that shiny, beautiful, big flakes. And so I wrote this song called Hollywood Snow because I was reminded how I came from California going, "Oh, this is snow. This is crazy, man. I don't even, Santa's Village is the closest thing to snow I'd ever seen." And so I learned very quickly either adapt or die in Minnesota.
But that was one of the things. Like when I lived out there during the 80s was like on New Year's Day. Mm-hmm. I was living in Escondido. You could go to the ocean and swim.
Yes.
And then 45 minutes later, you could be in the mountains playing in snow.
Exactly.
Which was it was really cool. But I'm originally from this area, so when I came back, it was a bit of my first winter here was what the hell
Yeah. But, I got to say, I prefer snow to ice.
Yeah.
So I'd really like this whole climate change thing to just make up its mind and get on with it. Because either I'm going to be living in the tropics here in Iowa and the Quad Cities, or not.
Or the next ice
or
age.
there's snow.
We got to figure something out. Well, what a great segue. How about
Absolutely. You want to? Okay.
how about a little Hollywood snow for us?
Let's do that. All right.
All right. Once again, boys and girls, right here in the Performance Parlor, please welcome Lojo Russo.
Right on. What a great segue. If only my guitar had been ready for it. Here we go. Hollywood Snow. Now, I always like to preface this song because as a young songwriter, I knew no rules. I didn't know there were rules. And
there aren't.
So, and to this day, I refuse to.
Yeah, good, because we're going to get into that subject here in a few minutes, too. Great. All right. Once again, boys and girls, Lojo Russo.
She sits near the piano, between the legs and the pedals, a cocoa grasped in her hand. Her back rests against the antique wood as she stares out the window, watching the first bright snowfall. Looks just like Hollywood snow. Now she stands in a cave high on a mountainside. You can't see her for the trees, expecting a winter, looking out over the valley. The pines heavy and white. She looks around and believes in the beauty. Make-believe places, make-believe lives, fills up her winter hours. She plays in make-believe spaces, makes believe all of her life. Back in her room, hidden by the piano bench, the cocoa cools in her hands. The air is heavy with memory, the smell of her mother, Chantilly in love. She looks around and retreats to the shadow. Now she stands in a cabin, wrapped in a blanket. A wolf calls from the trees. Firelight dances round the rough-hewn walls of the cabin. Her heart heavy in thought, she looks around and believes in the beauty. Make-believe spaces and make-believe lives, fills up her winter hours. She plays in make-believe spaces and makes believe all of her life. She sits near the piano, between the legs and the pedals, cocoa forgotten in her hand. She can still hear the forest as she stares out the window, watching the first bright snowfall. Looks just like Hollywood snow. Make-believe places and make-believe lives, fills up her winter hours. She plays in make-believe spaces and makes believe all of her life.
Wow.
So a really happy memory song played to a really tragic chord progressions. Sorry. I apologize for my lack of knowledge of songwriting. So.
Well, we're going to get to that in a minute. So how long have you been playing?
Longer than I care to admit.
Well, okay, so we'll readjust that.
Yes.
What brought you into it? I mean, did your family, I mean, you got a family play?
I've got an incredible family. Every one of them are very talented. My father's an architect and a carpenter and a wonderful singer. My mother is a wonderful singer and plays all these instruments. And I was playing trumpet in school, and I said, hey, I think I want to play something that I can sing along with, you know?
Yeah, trumpet and singing don't, yeah.
But so my mom at the time was an electronics rep, and she came back from a show in Vegas and handed me a catalog, and she said, pick out your guitar, you know? And so about the age of 10, I started playing the guitar, and the only thing my mom knew to teach me on guitar was...
We are bass players. There you go.
I didn't know it, right? So I got me a Mel Bay book so I could learn the chords, and I started the way Bob Dylan starts, which is taking old folk tunes and then rewriting them.
Yep.
And so my actual first song was snowflakes everywhere, snowflakes north, south, east, and west. There's snowflakes, no doubt about it. There are snowflakes, which goes to an old folk song called Delia. Tony Shot is Delia is the name of the song, and but so I started learning how to play the guitar. My first band, I was 14 years old. We learned the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and then promptly broke up. Never had a gig or anything. Just about four rehearsals, and we're like, this is stupid, man.
We jammed in Joe's garage. Woo! Right on.
And but so what really got me wanting to become a performing songwriter is I had an album by a guy named Kenny Rankin, and he's not one of the more popular folk singers of the 70s and 80s, but I loved the cover of the album, back in the day when you would like, I'm going to listen to this because it looks cool. I'm going to read this because it looks cool, right? Judge a book.
Liner notes.
By its liner notes, and so
there's a generation that doesn't know what liner notes are.
So I had this Kenny Rankin, and I'm listening to the songs, and he's got a beautiful voice and wonderful guitar playing, and I'm like, I'm going to learn that song. I love that one song he plays. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Not realizing until years later it was a Beatles song. Yeah. And I even said to my friend, I'm like, oh man, the Beatles are covering a Kenny Rankin tune? They're like, are you stupid? Are you honestly? I'm like, I guess so. And then I looked, years later, I look back and I'm like, oh, the whole album is cover tunes. And then I realized most of what he did was cover tunes.
By the time you got into the 70s, most of the folk songs had been written.
That's true. That's right.
There wasn't a whole lot of folk stuff going on.
I know. I was playing a brand new tune that I'm working on for my wife this morning. She's like, that sounds familiar. I'm like, they all do. Yeah. You break them down far enough and everybody's written it. So, and I guess like through osmosis as a performing songwriter, as I got better at what I did and was doing more clubs and stuff like that, I realized that I'd become a Kenny Rankin kind of gal where I'm taking a cover tune and making it my own and presenting it that way. And I don't care if it's not the one you can sing along to. I really don't. Yeah. I'm sorry. It is about me. It's really, it's not about you guys. That's not true. But yeah, I like doing it my way. And
absolutely.
And thank goodness for Kenny Rankin for showing me the way.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, that leads right into a question I always ask singer-songwriters.
Yes.
Is your procedure. Now, I know people that come up with words and then put a melody to it. I know people that got this melody rolling around and they finally put words to it.
Right.
In my long life here, I've written one song, and it was because I had a little riff.
Sure.
And I played this riff for forever. Man, I don't even know if it's real chords. It was finger placements. Man, I like the sound of that. And one day I over the course of I don't know how long. I had those little, I don't know, you've seen those little magnet words that you put out
the
and people can just,
magnet
poetry. So I started sticking stuff on this board, and pretty soon I had a song.
Yeah.
But, so what is your procedure? Do you got words and then melody? Do you get melody and then words?
It depends on the song. It really depends on the song. I've done it numerous ways.
There's more than two?
Yeah, there's more than two. Inside Out, I have a song called Holy Day Ham Bingo. Because a friend of mine, she was the backup singer in my band, and she goes, "Hey, I just saw this sign and it needs to be a song." I said, "What does it say?" And she goes, "Holy Day Ham Bingo." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know." And I said, "Was there punctuation? I need some reference." And she's like, "No, it's just on a kiosk. Holy Day Ham Bingo." And I'm like, "Well, I don't even know what that kind of song would be, And I'm like, "I don't even know what that song." All of a sudden, my brain is like going, "It's a holy day at the world famous Ham Bingo Palace."
So wait. Now, do you
Bingo Palace? No, I can't do the song because my brain wrote it, and I have no idea how it goes. The chorus, it was like one of those, you're writing with the wrong hand backwards. You can only read it in a mirror kind of thing. Like, and I, to the point where when I was done, I was actually going to be recording a new album, and I brought it to the studio, and I said, "I need a keyboard player, a bass player, I need a choir, and I don't even know how this song goes, and I'm going to have to read the words because I haven't a clue." My brain came up with this, and I really want to distance myself from it as far as I can. So, but it's one of those songs that my diehard fans are like, "Do Holy Day Ham Bingo."
Yeah, I know a few bands that have what they've always referred to as on the album. It was a throwaway song. It was,
yes.
I needed a song to fill.
I always like to have 13 songs on my albums.
I got done and I was 3 minutes and 18 seconds short. So I know a few bands and they just refer to them as throwaways. That's our throwaway song. If they're still doing 45s, it'd have been the side B. And they get requested. It's, "Oh man, can you play?" And people are like, "Are you kidding?"
Well, John Prine's Whistling Fish, they said, "You need one more song," and he's like, "No, the album's done." They're like, "No, you need one more
we're
song."
short.
And he's like, "Fine," and he's like, "I wasn't even trying. I was just putting down words." And the next thing I know,
I love
that's
that
a
song.
hit. Everybody loves
Whistling and Fish.
Fischl and Whist, yeah.
But it's because back nowadays, of course, everything digital, you don't run into that.
Yeah,
but back when everything was going on vinyl, you had to have X amount of minutes, and it was you come up short.
There's too much space in the middle of that album, man.
Yeah, we're at the end. Oh man, we've got this many grooves.
We've got too many grooves at the end.
We got to
just fly
we gotta
off.
Fill. So you do either way. I mean, just whatever.
When I'm on the road, I'm a Gemini, so I tend to stay in my head a lot, which I have, thank goodness for podcasts, because I can actually turn off my brain just for a little while. But I spend a lot of time in my brain, and I'll look at it. The street sign goes back. It says Bittersweet, and then it says Pickle Drive. Next exit, and you're like, "Ooh, at the corner of Bittersweet."
Pickle Drive, yeah, I've got not a notebook anymore, but I've got a list on my computer at home of just phrases.
Yeah.
Hey, that sounds really cool, and someday I'm going to work it into a routine.
Exactly.
Or there's going to be a song, or it's just I'm waiting for that perfect time to be able to say this. So someday it'll come up, and I'm going to be able to say those words. And you're going to be able
to say that when you get home, because you're like, "Oh, I forgot."
Yeah. I need to carry that with me. Here's my list of witty sayings.
But between that and the fact that I play my guitars open tuned, I usually play with two guitars when I'm performing, and one will be in standard and one's in open tuning, and this is the one that's generally in open tuning, and that open tuning makes me find different ways to play and different melodies and chord progressions. And so I'll just hit the voice recorder on my phone and just start going, "Okay, I don't know what this is yet, but it sounds kind of good."
Yeah,
and we're just gonna let it go.
But it's a great way now. I mean, with all the advancements in digital stuff, it's a great way to keep that stuff. I mean, I know when I first started years ago, it was, and then I either got to write it down or try to play it. Man, where did I go? Where did I go? Because God created capos for guitar players like me. Yeah.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
I know about 6 chords, but I can play along with just about anything.
Well, and see, there's the thing about me when I was early writing. Like my first 2-3 albums, all I have is the lyrics. I haven't a clue what my tunings were in. And nothing. I never put any of that down. I didn't know what chords I was playing. So all my songbooks are engineering notebooks, because one side is lined for my verses, the other side is a graph grid, and I make my little chord boxes, my chord diagrams over on the left side of the page, going okay, and I'll in the early days it was like, this is chord R.
Yeah.
with this, with a pinky,
This is a G diminished fourth. I got no idea what that is, but that's where I'm putting my fingers.
I'm calling it an A suspended because it feels like I'm suspended in animation when I'm playing this particular chord, and it ends up being like you said, an A diminished fourth or something.
When I'm learning a new song, it's just this is where I'm going to learn it.
Right.
And then I take it to the band. Well, what key is it? I don't know. I'm capoing.
I'm right here.
Yeah. I'm capoing 3. And I'm playing in D. I got no idea, but this is where it fits my voice.
Yeah.
Luckily, my son's a lead guitar player. Okay, everybody, that's E flat or whatever it happened to be, and then that works out.
Actually, playing the bass helped me understand that there's actual notes on these things, so that helps. And now I'm actually one of the things I do is teach guitar.
So that helps too. Yeah.
And I people go, why is that? I'll tell you next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google that, and I'll get back to you.
Give you time to look it up. Yeah. How come this? Yeah.
Why is it called a seventh? Let's just see if I count to 7, will I be on that note? Oh, look at that! I am. That must be why they call it that. Ta-da!
Here, listen to it. And now this is a 5th. You hear the difference? That's why we call it that.
That's why we call it that. So yeah, and my students are under no illusion that I am anything but what I am. I call it the fundamentals
there you go.
of guitar playing.
You're not teaching advanced technique,
I am not
take it.
teaching advanced technique, nor will I teach you notes necessarily. But
you're lucky I tell you what the chord is.
That's
kid.
right. But like Angela Meyer, who, if anybody was listening to the last radio program, she played one of her tunes right after me, and she came to me looking for some guitar lessons, and what we ended up doing more was talking about how to become a performing songwriter, and I gave her tips on what it's like to be on the road and how to book gigs when you're touring and stuff. And I looked at her straight in the face, and I said, at one point I just said, now understand, I've never done any of the things I'm telling you, which is why I'm teaching you guitar at the age I am. So just take that into account.
And I'm not on the road right now.
So just take that into account and do what I say, not what I do. And
so how long have you been playing and touring? And
I've been
consider yourself a player performer.
Yeah. So I started playing when I was 10. My first show was I think it was the 5th grade talent show, But
like
I would, like all of us. But I would consider myself. I started performing more professionally in the early 80s, and I would call myself semi-professional back then, and I would call myself professionally working as a performing songwriter now, probably for the last about 15, 20 years. So. Yeah.
Long time.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I'm not done living this dream, The road trips get a little harder, and they get a little shorter because I don't want to be out that long anymore.
Yeah, we were talking privately. Not privately. We were talking a little bit before we went on the air.
We were talking in the bathroom.
Yes, we were.
Nobody could hear us.
Yeah.
Flush the toilet again. This is the important part.
About being on the road, because I was an announcer and I worked on the road. And after a while, it just gets to be, you got to, in your case, and I even had to at times, look down and, hey, I'm glad to be here.
Am I in Iowa or Illinois right now?
It's good to be back, and you got to look down and see where you are. I worked at a stage boss, and I've seen a lot of playlists in front of and the first thing it says is hello
Cincinnati.
Yeah. so you realize exactly where you are.
Exactly.
Well, let's get another song from you, man. We've talked long enough now. We gotta sing.
What the heck?
Let's
see. Let's do
old, new, it doesn't matter. Let's do whatever.
Actually, let's do a brand new one. I was
Hey, that's even better.
brand spanking.
A little sneak peek.
Yeah. I'll play the song, then we'll talk about it.
Hey, well, even better. All right, once again, boys and girls, right here in the Foreman's Parlor, please welcome Lojo Russo.
Blackbird sitting in an old oak tree, hoot owl whipping through the pines. Ain't no pretty guy prettier than mine. Won't nothing come between us, and I told you from the start when I asked you for forever, I said it from the heart. Blackbird sitting in an old oak tree, hoot owl whipping through the pines. Ain't no pretty guy prettier than mine. In good times and in sorrows, all the wonder this love brings. Every moment is a treasure, every day a chance to sing. Blackbird sitting in an old oak tree, hoot owl whipping through the pines. Ain't no pretty guy prettier than mine. When dreams have turned to memories and tomorrow's left a chance, I will take you in my arms, and forever we will dance. Blackbird sitting in an old oak tree, hoot owl whipping through the pines. Ain't no pretty guy prettier than mine. Blackbird sitting in an old oak tree, hoot owl whipping through the pines. Ain't no pretty guy prettier than mine. Ain't no pretty guy prettier than mine. Ain't no pretty guy prettier than mine.
Oh, yeah, right there, boys and girls. That gave you a sneak peek, brand new song right there. That hasn't been on an album yet, I take it?
No, but I got a new one coming out, and that ain't on there either, so we'll see. It might be one of those little CD Baby Bandcamp kind of one-off downloads. I don't know. We'll find out. If that recording worked out, we'll just put that up.
We'll see what was that? What was that called?
That one, I'm calling it Ain't No Prettier.
That's what you're...
Ain't None Prettier, yeah. Ain't none. So I was out in Colorado with my wife and her mom and sister, and we were having a good old time. We went out there to see Brandy Carlisle and at Red Rocks, and
Red Rock's a great place.
Oh, I love Red Rocks. Wow. Someday, I probably still won't play there, but someday I might. You never know.
That's what everybody used to say about here. Someday
I'll play WQUD radio.
Well, but it used to be I'll play the Clippers. Someday I'll play Lincoln.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, so
that's the laughter of someone that knew that.
So my mother-in-law, she's kind of a stream of consciousness kind of girl, and we would say something. She'd start up a song, and after a while, there's four of you in a car, and after a while, you're like, okay, ma'am, shut up. You just got to stop this now. Please stop it. And I did, somebody said something about an oak tree or about a blackbird or something. She goes, oh, yeah, blackbird sitting in an old oak tree. And we're like, that isn't even the right words, man. If you're going to do this, at least do the right words, right? So,
yeah. Don't you hate it when the artist messes up the words?
That's right. So I ended, now it's stuck in my head, and the next thing I know, I'm writing a song while I'm driving around Colorado. And but the really funny thing is about 2-3 weeks later, my sister-in-law texted us all going, did you know that's like a famous song by the Beatles? And we're like, wow, really? That's why it was funny to Susan and I. But,
hey, way to do your research.
So I just, I wrote that song, and now I'll find myself going, blackbird sitting in an old oak tree, and I'm like, that's not how that goes. Hang on.
You know, you take a song and you make it your own.
You do what you do.
That way they can't get you on the copyright stuff.
But yeah, exactly.
There's always ways to beat all of it. So, how many songs do you think you've written over the years?
Well, let's see.
Okay, she's opening up.
I'm grabbing all the CDs that I brought of me.
It looks like Encyclopedia Britannica collection.
So I've probably got 100 of original stuff that I've actually put down, that I've actually recorded, and I've probably got 10 times that are still sitting in a folder, just going. If you can just figure out that one line, this will be golden, you know.
or that one progression.
Or that one progression. It's like, what is this missing?
That one chord just doesn't.
You know, and I was talking about how I didn't know the rules of songwriting.
Yeah, that's kind of
which is fine. I don't know. I still don't know music theory. So if I'm going into the wrong chord progression, I don't care. As long as it sounds right to me, you know. But I did do one songwriting class out in Lyons, Colorado, and they taught me a couple of things I learned from that. One, just start recording everything you do, which I started doing at that time. Yeah. Then all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, I've got a voice recorder on the smartphone, let's just do it. And just because you wrote it doesn't mean it stays in the song, which had never occurred to me. It's like, but it came from my brain for this song. And I had written this song that was kind of like a rebellion kind of tune, and I was talking about how America was all messed up, and we were just sitting around on our thumbs wasting time instead of doing something about it. But I opened up the song with I got a belly full of Ovaltine. And the guy leading the songwriting class goes, all right, show of hands. Who knows what Ovaltine is? And, anybody under 30 were just like, duh.
Yep.
And me and like this 6-year-old guy went, yeah, Ovaltine,
oh, man, come on.
So, and I'm not 60. I'm not saying I'm 60, but I still love my Ovaltine. And,
see, I was always a PDQ.
Oh, okay.
And that's even worse than Ovaltine. Nobody knows a PDQ, but I was always a PDQ kind of guy.
There you go, right on. So, and he said, I like the song, but I don't like that opening line because you immediately set up your demographic, and the song sounds like it's for younger people, but you've set it up to be for older people, and then you're losing both.
So you change it to Tide Pod or... So,
but I'm like, oh, but man, the whole song was like built. That was like the foundation. He goes, it was beautiful. He doesn't need the support anymore. Knock him out. It stands up on its own. So I went back and I ended up, revising that verse and changing a couple of things about the song. And I thought it came out a lot better, before that. But then I still had this, belly. I got a belly full of Ovaltine. And so I took his advice, and it's like, well, if you're going to sing a song that's towards a particular demographic, you want to do like, I got a belly full of Ovaltine, sock monkey on my back, 'cause I'm jonesing for some sweet things, and I'm rocking the retro snack. Got a mouthful of Laffy Taffy, and I just did this whole tune about retro candy, jujubes and
the little candy things on the paper
and paper buttons.
Paper buttons, where you ate more paper than candy.
I've actually got a whole package of them on my wall at home, and Necco wafers and long boys.
Oh man, there was candy cigarettes.
Yes,
everybody had candy cigarettes.
Everybody had, and those silly wax bottles of.
I was about to say, and Katie's so young, she probably don't remember. She don't remember any of this stuff.
But a lot of that stuff's coming back now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, everything old is new again.
That's right, including you and me, Uncle Taz.
I am.
Right on. Uncle Taz, right here.
I refuse to grow old.
That's right.
My body's not agreeing. Yeah. But the mind, the mind says 12.
Exactly.
The body says no.
So, yeah, so I've started, the album that you guys have been spinning, No Scars, No Stories.
What a great album, by the way.
Thank you. So good. I was really, it's one of the few albums that I'm like, that's the one that's my go-to. It really, I feel like I really captured, and that part of that was because I was working with a team up in Minneapolis, and Adam Stemple was my producer, and we've been pals and bandmates and stuff forever. And Leo Whitebird over at Pod Studios. And the two of them really helped me just shape that up exactly the way it needed to sound and to be. And so I couldn't be prouder of it. But when I started learning that, just because you wrote it doesn't mean it stays. And I had a friend of mine who died rather suddenly from cancer, and he'd been living with it for quite a while. Then all of a sudden it just, and you're done. And I went through a bunch of my old songs, and I started realizing, this is how I can say this more succinctly. And then so where we left off, we went from 12 verses to 3 and was able to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Very succinct verses. I wrote a couple of songs
12
about
verses.
him and for him. And
12 verses must have been like during your Bob Dylan time.
Everybody's got to know about every little thing we did. And then even like one of my journal entries from after the memorial service, I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, dang, that almost rhymes. So, turned that into a song. And so it was great inspiration. It's probably the first time I've ever written from any kind of emotional pain or anything like that. I am not that person. I don't break up with people just so I can write an album. But when I do break up with people, I will write an album. It'll be all about you. And I promise it's not, but it is. But it's not, but it is. So never get in.
But you're honest enough to admit it, okay? Most of them come out and say, "Oh no, I didn't do that."
With a songwriter.
You're honest enough to say this one. Yeah, you dirty bastard. That was all about you.
This might be you. And I'm not going to play those songs because that was a long time ago, and I don't remember how they go.
But at the time, they were very cathartic.
But at the time, it was very cathartic.
Well, let's play one that you like. Then.
All right. Let's see. So this is that open tuning I'm telling you about, I was talking about.
And a lot of people don't realize just how useful open tuning can be.
It absolutely is.
It opens up so many different things you can do.
Well, and I've found it very helpful when I'm doing a cover tune, and I can play the same chord structure in the same way, but
get a better,
all of a sudden,
sound. And with the open tune, someone says, "Well, that didn't. I don't think you hit that note right." Oh, I'm an open tune. Do you know what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, you get a lot of that dissonance, and
Yeah. Well, I was an open tune. Well, that explains it, of course.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, actually, I was talking about my friend Michael. I'm going to do his song. He wrote this song back in like '92. And I was in a band with him called Galloglass. Michael Matheny, Ken Larson playing the boron, and myself on the mandolin. And he wrote this song, and he's like, "You sing it, Lojo. I don't want to sing it. You sing it." At the time, he didn't like singing. So I've been singing this song since '92, and
holy cow!
Yeah,
that's a lot of verses.
That's a lot of verses.
Once again, boys and girls, please welcome Lojo Russo.
As you slowly close your eyes, when you're drifting off to sleep, shrouded in a veil of blue, floating in a challenged peace, as you lay there by my side, run my fingers through your hair, afraid to fall asleep tonight, for fear I'll never wake again. Let your fire be my inside, let your fire light my way, let your fire fight at last? Can I join you in your dreams? Talk on love and raising children. Our hopes, our fears, our dreams and needs. So take my hand again, my love. We'll light a candle to fill this darkened room. Lay your head against my chest. Dance with me till the morning comes. Let your fire give me insight. Let your fire light my way. Let your fire give me shelter. Let my water ease your pain. Let your fire give me insight. Let your fire light my way. Let your fire give me shelter. Let my water ease your pain.
Oh, that's a bell ringer there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow,
The
what
most
a-
beautiful song I never wrote.
What a
That's-
great tune.
Thank you.
What a
Yeah, it's a
great
beautiful tune. And he even started a band for himself before he died, and was doing lead songs and recording albums. He never did record that song. I've recorded it 4 times.
Wow.
And I feel very lucky that I've had that to sing all these years. So
And what was the name of it?
that is called Fire,
And we'll give credit again. The
to Michael D. Matheny.
Michael Matheny. Wow, great tune. Great tune. Well, that kind of segues in a little bit then, too.
Yeah, yeah.
To your own personal little story there.
Oh, yeah, I guess it kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's I mean, not only your music great, but it's kind of an inspiration to other people and performers.
Oh.
If you don't mind talking
I hope
about it
so.
a little bit.
No, that's no, it's been getting easier to talk about it. But yeah, so it was interesting. A little backstory on it. So when Michael died, he basically had an entire hard drive of music that he'd been recording. After he was diagnosed with bladder cancer, he just started, everything was going into the computer. Everything was going into the computer, and his mom gave it to us to listen to and said, I'd like an album of my son's music. And we decided to go a step further, and a bunch of us learned parts and sang harmonies. And so on the album, he's singing and playing, and then we're backing him up. And then we had an album release party. And so now one of us has to be Michael singing his part, or one of us has to be Michael playing his part, you know?
Yeah.
And it was very emotional. And we all were wearing these bracelets. Most of us had those like rubber bracelets that we'd gotten at the service that just said F, cancer.
Right.
And
I have a couple of those at home.
yeah, and so when I went to do this show, I had made a leather bracelet for myself, and I etched it in metal, and I was wearing it in support of my friend and his family, and then it was March of last year. I was getting ready to go to Ireland, and something weird was happening, and my wife's like, you should probably go and have that checked. And I'm like, well, it's no big deal. Let's just go to Ireland, and we'll figure it out later. And I'm like, it'll go away, and it didn't. So went to the doctor, and the doctor sent me to a specialist, and the specialist sent me to an oncologist, and the next thing I know, I'm sitting in a chemo chair for the next 18 weeks because I'd gotten 2 kinds of cancer. I'm like, really? I've had melanoma, and now I've had endometrial and ovarian cancer, and I'm looking down at my chest going, you guys just be nice and stay. No more. So we'll have none of that. But
we're not going to lose parts.
We're not going to lose any parts. No losing any parts. So it was tough at first. I mean, I had to have I'm sorry, fellas, I'm going to say the word hysterectomy. I had to have a full hysterectomy, and that's when we found the ovarian cancer. And so the treatment was chemo every 3 weeks for 6 treatments. And I'm looking at my schedule going, but I've got shows to play, you know? And they're like, oh, you can't even lift anything over 10 pounds for 8 weeks. I'm like, how heavy is my guitar?
Yeah,
I'm weighing my guitar.
Let's
okay,
weigh
this one's only like 6 pounds. I can play this one, and we'll get a chair, and I'll get a roadie to bring in all my stuff.
For load in and load out work.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I only had to miss 2 shows out of all of that.
Wow.
And they were like the weekend after the hysterectomy. I'm like, I'm not even breathing right now. So,
Yeah.
but
not going to hit the high notes.
Not going to hit the high notes, and my energy wasn't quite there for a while. But it was the music that kept me going. And if it hadn't been for the music, you know, I mean, my wife. Susan did just a marvelous job supporting me and being there for me, and my family and my friends were all supportive, and you know, bless them all, because I swear to goodness, on those days that I'm like just feeling sorry for myself and down about it, and I knew on those days where I couldn't be positive about what was going on with me, I knew I had all these people, just a phalanx behind me, just taking up the slack, and making sure that the positivity never stopped.
Yeah.
So,
buck up, Nancy. Let's go.
That's right. Let's go. Come
you
on.
got a gig. What are you doing?
Right, I know. And so I was looking forward to my shows, and it's like, geez, let's see how does it work when I want to play my drum from a seated position. I've never tried that. Oh, look, I can reach it. Yay, okay. So
okay, cut the legs off the stool.
Let's do this.
I followed it a lot. I mean, I followed it, and I always got a kick out of, maybe it's my sixth sense of humor, but the different hats you would always be wearing. It was like, oh, that's a cool one.
The one that you probably like the most, it's actually got dancing bears. I got it at Shag.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I saw that
just did a promo for you. But so all the scarves, I wasn't. At first, I was like, "Oh, I'll just go bald. It's all right." Once I started losing the hair, I'm like, "Yeah, let's just cut it off and not worry about it." And I'm shaving my head every week, and I would have been okay, except it's amazing how cold you are when you don't have hair.
Yeah, look at the beard.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
You don't know it until you don't have it, and then you're like, "Wow, I am freezing," and it's 70 degrees in August, So I was like, okay, so I started wearing the bandanas, and Angela Meyer called it a warrior scarf, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I said to myself that if the hair doesn't grow back right, I'm just going bald. No more scarves. The scarves, it was really weird. The first time I got to take off the scarf, and I'm like, I'm just going to play the show with my hair. And it was like, oh, there I am, Peter, the Hook movie. And I'm like, oh, there you are. It's like, oh, I feel myself again. There's not this binding across my forehead or anything. And so ever since, it's
just take me as I am. But I do remember following and seeing, the bear hat. And then you had, I think I saw a couple of shows where you had a jester's hat for a while.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, so when I see another show coming up, I wonder what she's wearing this time.
Wonder what she's going to wear today. Yeah, never got around to the steampunk top hat, but I did wear the leather pork pie a couple of times. So. Why not?
Yeah. So I take it everything is good now?
Everything is good. I mean, unfortunately, whenever you go through something like this, it's 5 years before they can say, yes, you're done.
Everything's done, right.
So I've still got 4 years and 9 months to go, but, I'm feeling good.
But you feel like you stepped out on the other side and it's all...
Yeah, feeling like $1 million is only a few $1,000s away, so I'm doing all right.
Just 4 more gigs.
Just 4 more gigs. I know, it's like, and, so one of my side effects was neuropathy in the feet. And I'm just like,
and you stand when you play.
And I stand when I play. And so I found myself like falling off the drum a couple of times. It's like, oh, standing on one leg's not as easy as it used to be. I was praying it wouldn't go into my fingers. And on the last treatment, it just started to go into my fingers. And after a few weeks, it kind of went away. But I do notice that I don't have the stamina to play on my fingertips as long as I used to.
My arthritis has affected my left when I'm trying. And it's like, okay, I can play these chords. I really can't play this song anymore because it's all bar chords.
Let's
and
just
it's
do the loop pedal and sing along. Here we go.
I need to find a guitar player.
Exactly.
Well, let's see how them fingertips work. Give us another song
all right,
here,
sounds
if you
good.
would.
Sounds good.
All right, boys and girls, while that open tuning gets retuned, please welcome into the performance parlor once again, Lojo Russo.
Just because it's dark, don't mean it's night. Just because it shines, don't mean that it's light. Just because it's true, don't mean that it's right. No, no. Just because the clouds moving and the rain falls down, fire still burns inside. Don't mean it's cold. Just because your bones shake don't mean that you're old. Just because it's set don't mean the story's been told. No, no. Just because the clouds move in, the rain falls down, fire still burns inside. Yeah. Fire can still burn, even though it's raining down. Oh, yeah. Just because it hurts don't mean it's real. Just because you scream don't mean that you feel. Just because it scars don't mean that it heals. No, no. Just because the clouds move in and the rain falls down, fire still burns inside. Just because the clouds move in and the rain falls down, fire can still burn inside.
Yeah! Wow! Wow, what a great tune. Man, you're just tearing it up here. I like it when the guests come in and just tear the place up. That's what makes it so much fun here. You got to give me the name of that one. I'm keeping track of songs here.
That one's called Where There's Smoke. Where There's Smoke.
Well, that was right after fire. So those kind of work out.
They kind of work out.
Got a theme going. Cool.
Yeah, and you know that's one of the other things that's it's been one of the I don't know hallmarks of my career is that one minute I'm like, as you slowly close your eyes, and then I'm like,
ballad and yelling. You mentioned about going to Ireland, and one of the other things that I know I've seen you do is would you call it Renaissance or?
Yes, you would call it
Okay,
Renaissance.
I'm not sure if it, I mean, you're doing Renaissance festivals or you're just doing Renaissance style, because I've seen you in the full clothing with some other, not playing guitar. I mean.
No, I was playing mandolin.
Yeah.
So my band Gallo Glass with Ken and Michael, that was back at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. We did that as a band for about 10 years. And then I stayed on with other people and doing my own thing for about another 10 years out there. Love the Renaissance. I love dressing up and playing the.
So you still do that at times?
When I did it out at Minnesota, my name was Patso, and I was a young girl pretending to be a 14-year-old boy working in a little minstrel band. And after like 25 years of pretending you're a 14-year-old boy, there's, at some point people are like, yeah, you're not really passing anymore. The fifth wall is broken.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I will, I still do little weekend fairs here and there. And like last weekend I did a couple of Irish shows because I love my Irish music. It's fun, and it's it's sad and it's happy, and you're drinking and you're dying and you're doing it all at the same time, and it's all good. It's all
good.
So,
I've been a fan of I guess I'd call it Celtic punk.
Celtic, yeah. Oh yes, yeah.
For a very long time. I mean, there's some stuff that's like, oh yeah. I mean, but there's a lot of bands out there that, hey, let's have a beer, let's beat the crap out of each other, and then let's have another beer because that's how we do things.
That's how we do it. I'll fight you if I have to, but I hope I don't have to.
And then I'll buy you a pint.
Let's just buy a pint and
I mean, back in my drinking days, that was that's when my liver gave up. But back in my drinking days, that was, oh man, this is drinking music. Forget country. Exactly. You want to listen to drinking music? Put this on.
Exactly. Oh, I know, because like there's like this. Tell me, Mom, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. Pull my hair and stole my comb. That's all right till I go home. And I did that for 25 years out at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. And then I went to Ireland. I got to live in Ireland for a while. And by living, I mean I was there as long as my visa would last and the money didn't run out. And I had redone that song. I'd made my own arrangement for that song, and I played it in Ireland, and I'm like going, tell me, Mom, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. Pull my hair, stole my comb, that's all right till I get home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is the belle of Belfast City. Comes a courting 1, 2, 3, please won't you tell me who is she? And like all the Irish people are like, man, I love that version because I hate the other one. They're like, we're so tired of having all the Americans going, oh, play I'll Tell Me Mine. I tell me mine when I go home, and they're like, ah. And then I played that, and they're like, wow, we dig that.
Yeah.
We can play that again. That's all right. Because they didn't like my Cockles with Muscle, which became a blues song, and Wild Monkey Time, which took Wild Mountain Time and melded it with Last Train to Clarksville. They were like, we're more of a C&W kind of
so a little tradition, if you would please,
We play country and western, both kinds of music.
I grew up in a house that was like that. There was two types of music. There was country and western. And then, I mean, I've told this story before. Then I got a radio, little AM transistor radio, so I could listen to Cub games. And late at night after on the road game, I was just spinning the dial, and I came across something called WLS.
Oh yeah,
out of Chicago, and I discovered rock and roll. And then you guys lied. There's more than country and western.
More than this. What?
Yeah, there's more out there.
Oh yeah.
There's more than just G, C, D chord patterns.
Well, I used to. My friend Adam used to play in a band called Boiled and Lead out of Minneapolis, and Boiled and Lead, they're like, we're country music. We're just not going to tell you which country. Yeah. And then they do like Turkish and Greek and Kazakhstan, or whatever. It's like,
here's another one that made the charts.
Do that. So.
Yeah. No, there was two types of music in the world. Then I discovered more, and And that's when it all went to hell.
In a handbasket.
That's what Dad said. Oh, you discovered that rock and roll.
Oh, yes, that's right. I discovered it. It's all mine.
It's mine, every bit of it.
So.
All right, well, let's get another tune from you, man.
Oh,
we just can't get enough, I'm telling you.
All right. Well,
How about some blues?
A little blue.
Yeah, you've been hinting around. Oh, I did this blues. I did this, but you're only playing partial songs. You know.
Okay, let's see. What do I got?
I don't usually request, and I'm not requesting a specific song yet. I've got one in my head that's for a little later on, only because I dig the hell out of her version. So I'm going to actually ask for a cover a little later. But right now, boys and girls, get ready. She got a smile on her face, and she's putting on the capo. That means it's about to get dirty and ugly, just the way we like it here. Would you please welcome the blues stylings of Lojo Russo?
Come on in and take the load off. Come on in now, darling, but take it real slow. There ain't nothing left to do. Lean back, be cool, relax. Put your feet up. Take your coat off and take some downtime. Hang your coat up now, darling. It's time to unwind. Winter's come, winter's gone. Let the sun shine on. Now relax. Put your feet up. Sit down and let your day go. Sit on down now, darling. I'll take it real slow. Ain't nothing left to do. Lean back, be cool, now relax. Put your feet up. Kick your shoes off and let the day go. Kick your shoes off now, baby. I'll take it real slow. Grab that bottle, drink that wine, satisfy your troubled mind. Now relax. Put your feet up. Put your feet up. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a bell ringer. That's a double bell ringer. Man, oh man, Buford. Even Buford's over here digging on the blues.
Right on,
you know how
Buford.
he is. Yeah, Buford likes the blues. He's over here sitting back and just grinning and loving it.
Nice.
So I know you mentioned that the one song you mentioned that you played and you hadn't recorded.
Yeah.
But you said you were been in the studio and you got a new one coming out.
I got a new one coming
I noticed
out.
on your Facebook page you haven't put a release date out yet.
No, because...
But you're going to ballpark it for all of our listeners?
well, you know, I
This
thought it was
year.
going to be April.
The-
Not going to be April.
can we say this year?
We're gonna, yeah, I'm still hoping to get it out before the summer. So, before the summer, you know, deep in it. But yeah, I actually did a live recording up in Minneapolis back in December of 2017, thinking, hey, this will be cheap and quick. It's turned out to be neither of those things, but we had a good time. And
So you recorded up there, or are
so
you recording down
yeah,
here?
no, we recorded up there.
Okay.
And we did this live show, and you know, so I would like, as I said, we did a live show. We played 2 sets, and we repeated songs that we got wrong the first set. And I told everybody, hey, if you're sticking around, you're probably going to hear something again, but we'll try to, you know, mess with things a little bit, which we did. But so I would go up to Minneapolis about every 6 weeks and do a rehearsal with the band, and then we would be sharing files and such like that. So we had about 6 live rehearsals before the actual show. And the show actually went really well, and then the whole cancer thing got kind of in the way of things. And now we're back a little bit more on track. We're both me and my producer, engineer are procrastinators, so we're really sorry. We've got no excuses for not having this thing out like 6 months ago, other than the fact that we're just can't be bothered.
Well, I mean,
to get it done.
you've got a pretty
I've got a
good
pretty good
reason.
excuse.
I mean, you can say, you know, I'd have been there, but the chemo got in the way. I mean,
you know, I was not doing well that day.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you
But hang on, I got a show, so
yeah. I'd have been there, but the chemo, and then I had a gig.
and then I had a gig.
Yeah.
So sorry. No, everybody's been really patient and really cool about it, and
So it's going to be a
really
complete
excited.
live. So this will be
All
your
live.
first live album.
It'll
that you
be
put out?
it'll be my first live album.
Intentionally being a live album.
Intentionally, well, because so I had this band called Funk's Grove, and we did I put together the band because I had this gig down in Missouri, and they said, you're going to play the beer garden and the main stage. And I'm like, I need a band.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't solo.
Not going to solo in a beer garden. And then so I,
More
called
targets.
up some friends. Yeah. I called up a few friends, and I'm like, hey, you guys want to do this gig with me in Missouri? And they're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we rehearsed a few tunes, and we get to the gig, and they're like, your main stage got cut because everybody got rained out last night. Oh, okay. And then, so we go to the beer garden. The beer garden is setting up a band, and I said, hey, where do we set up? And he goes, this is our gig. Go away. And we're like, oh, okay. So I found the director. I'm like, so no main stage, and the beer garden guy's being a real DICK. So,
Oh, we can say Dick. It's okay.
oh, good. So
I'm not sure if we can, but I'm going to. It's
we're
okay.
going. Now we have.
Yeah, we have.
So I'm like, we're here to play, and I've got a contract. So you can either pay me or we'll honor the contract and play somewhere. So we played for goats in the petting zoo. There was about like 8 or 10 people that knew us from Missouri that came to the show, but otherwise the goats outnumbered the audience. And then like halfway through the set, somebody came through the audience, hitched up the goats, and took them out. And we're like, hey, man, they were listening.
Yeah.
So because of that, and then on the way home, we actually named ourselves what we thought we named ourselves after a wayside rest, after a toilet, And then we learned that, Funk's Grove was kind of a cool thing. So, so we get home, and I'm like, let's do this. I need a new album. Let's do it live. I've got you guys. You've got half the material figured out already, so let's just do this. And they were all like, yeah, all right. So we did this live album, and I had a friend who signed the whole thing for me. I had a security crew. And we'd worked up a bit because we wanted, it was my first live album. I'm like, I don't want anything to ruin this. And I know that like 80% of my audience is friends from the Renaissance Festival, which means they're going to want to heckle and be a part of the show the entire time.
Yeah.
So how do I you know?
I always make sure if I'm going to a live recording, I'm going to be heard on one song.
Exactly.
I'm going to wait until everybody kind of stops applauding a little bit, and then I'm.
That was me.
Yeah, because I know that was me. I was there. Yeah.
So
I'm one of those. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that so loud.
Yeah. No, I'm one of those people that show up to live recordings and do that. I want to be on the album.
No, so I had my quotation marks security detail, and I said, you guys, let's do something to make sure people understand. We don't want any shenanigans. We want a nice recording here. So I was like, my stage manager was up, and she was emceeing the show and talking about things, and she said, and we, because we're doing a live recording, we'd like everybody to just try to be respectful, and we don't need a lot of heckling or inappropriate stuff going on while recording. And some guy goes, yeah, blah, 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 and said something completely inappropriate. And my security detail, which are just, like 4 guys that I know from the Renaissance, and they swarmed on this guy, beat him to the ground, and then dragged him out of the room. And I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, you probably thought perfect, and okay, let's kind of.
So now you know what's going to happen, you guys. If there's any shenanigans, I'll tell you what.
Oh, not shenanigans. You have to. If there's not shenanigans at a show, then it's not worth being.
No, but it was really cool, and everybody loved it, and the recording turned out great, and we just had so much fun that we stayed a band for about another 4 years before mortgages and children started to
get in the way. Yeah, that always happens. Life gets in the way of performing. You gotta.
But
so this is the first where you've.
This is my first live album for me, and more as a solo artist with a backing band rather than as a band. Yeah. So
you went in with the idea of this is going to be a live album.
This is going to be a live album.
When it came time for an album, it was I'm going to do a live album.
Yeah. I just I really didn't have enough material for a full album. I've like I was saying before, I've got file cabinets full of songs that just need one more line, or just what's the chorus, or how do I end it, or whatever it is. So I didn't really have enough material, but I really wanted to put something out, and I liked the material I'd been working on. So the guys were like, it kind of started because a friend of mine said, hey, anytime you need a bass player or something when you're up here, just let me know. I'd love to, my whole band will back you up if you just want to do a show. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Thanks. Then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I could do a live album with a band. So I'm like, well, how about this, you guys? We'll work up some of my old tunes, make them kind of fresh and new. And then I've got these new tunes, and you guys can help me kind of figure out their sound and everything. And I had this, I've got this song. I got this song called Front Porch Swing, and I wrote it as a Texas swing tune, right? So it's like. Swinging on the front porch in the sunset glow. Banjo picking, guitar strumming to the fiddle, and the bow. Swing your partner around in a good old do-si-do. On the front porch swinging, here we go. Right, it's a Texas swing, right?
Yeah, that's Bob Wills all the way right there.
I know, right? So I get in the studio, and I had sent them all the MP3s of the new stuff, and I'm like, all right, let's try Front Porch Swing. And the drummer goes, well, I was thinking, he was doing big band swing. I'm like, swinging on the front porch in the sunset glow. Banjo picking, guitar strumming to the fiddle, and the bow swing, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's different. Sure, why not? And then I had this Irish tune called Playing Away the Dawn, and he said, fiddle tune floating on summer breeze, just and a little like bluegrassy Celtic-y thing, and he put a ska beat behind it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, but then now you gotta find a horn player.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna go ska, now you need a trombone player.
And so it's like this is like the rehearsal album for what the album's going to become.
Okay.
You know, it's like, okay, so this song we want to put in these things next time, and we're going to do this and do that. But right now it was just really kind of fun to just kind of do these songs and. That sucked in the first set. Let's do it again, only faster, in the second set. We ended up with a ringtone.
I'm just still trying to wrap my head around that a Celtic folk song became ska.
Oh, that's
like,
hear it.
Wow, okay, that's like way.
I mean,
you start off, what a lovely little, and then
tune floating on a.
And then all of a sudden it's ska. Yeah, man, that's.
Yeah.
Those are two genres you usually don't see.
Go together, but
Celtic ska.
Yes. Celtic ska.
Celtic ska. I'm gonna have to find. I bet there's
Scotic?
A band out there.
Maybe it's Scotic.
Oh, even better. It's Scotic.
I'll do a whole album like that.
Scotic tunes and everybody. We've created a genre.
Exactly, Scotic music.
Scotic. What's that? Well,
it could be.
It's Celtic ska.
It's Celtic ska.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. I like it. And the name of the band is going to be Boogie Kirkpatrick.
That's it. For my great uncle Lionel O'Reilly. O'Marley.
Lionel O'Marley.
That was him. Yeah. Perry Lee is rolling over right now.
Go. Lassie, go. Oh, man. You gotta go.
There you go.
Go, Lassie, go. Yeah, sure. Why not?
I know I can, man. I know I'm putting thoughts in your brain. Just give me credit.
Okay, there's a lot of room for
Just give me credit in the liner notes.
That's right.
That's
you
all.
Got it. You got it. Right on.
I mean, you said some shows or some stuff about different gigs and shows.
Yep.
You've done a lot of shows, I know, but do you have one that sticks out and says, man, that was one of my favorite gigs, or that was the show from hell that I hope I never do again? Or
well, I can give you a show from hell because actually, I am living the dream. I get to play my music for money and go around the country and meet people and just have a good time and so all my shows are good shows. I don't know if I have like a favorite show. I might have like a top 5, but it'd be hard to say one's better than the other. But show from hell, I got. I got one of those. Every
traveling musician, has at least one that sticks out in the head. Let me tell you about this producer. Let me tell you about this.
So I was doing a tour in Colorado, and actually, this will encompass my worst and one of my best shows. Okay, so I was brand new to touring, and I had made little contracts to send to venues going, please pay me a down payment, and then we're guaranteed against the door or whatever. And I'm doing everything right. I'm doing it by the book, because there wasn't internet, so I'm doing it by the book.
Yeah.
and figuring it all out and. I booked myself at a place called the Music Cafe in Denver, Colorado. And I'm like, Music Cafe, all right. And I get there. They don't have a PA system. They wanted me to bring my own door guy. And I'm like, I'm a solo act in a strange town. How do I bring my own
door guy?
So they're like, okay, well, Bob will do it, whoever it was. So I'm setting up. As I'm setting up, consider, if you will, and it looks like it's actually more like a lunch counter, but it's selling booze. And there's 5 gals playing pool in the corner. There's 2 guys at the bar, and there's a couple sitting at a table having a drink and with some food in front of them. And I'm setting up, and I do my first set, and nobody walks in. Nobody comes into place. And I'm like, okay, so I'm looking at my set list going, now, so what should I do instead? What's going on here? And the couple that had been sitting and listening to the first set, they came up to me and they handed me a churro and a shot of tequila and they said good luck and they walked out. And then the bouncer guy, the door guy, comes up to me and he says, the gal's playing pool, want to hear the jukebox. And I'm like, excellent, because I'm out.
What?
This is done. I'm
cool.
out.
I know that song.
I know that song. Yeah, I didn't even fight. I'm like, so for a music cafe, you guys suck as a music cafe. So I tore down my gear. I ate my churro and had my shot of tequila, and I packed all my gear up, and I went to a bar called Dulcinea's 100th Monkey and listened to acid jazz for the rest of the night. Drinking whiskey and beer. So a few days later, there was this festival that I had been trying to get into, but they'd already booked it up. And so I went to the festival anyway. I'm like, it's a festival, and I've got nothing on that night, so let's just go. So I go to the festival, and I find the guy that I've been talking to, Chip, Elwood Barrett, and I said, hey, we were talking, and I'm here in case somebody doesn't show up. I just, I don't know. I've never done this before. And if you need somebody, he said he wanted me, but he didn't have room for me. So I'm like, I'm here if you need somebody. And he goes, well, you know what? Actually, we need somebody to play in between the bands while they're setting up. And we're going to do you and a poetry slam guy. So it'll be you, and then it'll be the poetry, and then it'll be you. And I'm like, yeah, great. He's like, you'll have 3-4 songs. And I'm perfect. Just let me on stage, coach,
Yeah.
And so I do one, and the band is about done, and Elwood comes up to me and goes, hey, the poetry guy never showed up. So I played in between 20 bands, or something like that, like 12 bands.
Yeah.
I ended up playing longer non-consecutively.
Yeah, if you add it all up.
Any of the other bands played. And I never repeated in a couple of bands as I'd be playing, my last song as they're getting all their line checks done. Like one of the headliners started playing along with one of my songs. And I'm like, oh, this is rocking. Oh, it was like so cool. I'm like, you guys are my favorite band now. And Ray and the Sun Gods. I don't even think they're a band anymore. But God bless them. They picked up the little bass line. The bass line guy, the bass player started picking up the line, and then the keyboards and the drummer, and then Ray just started going, ooh, I'm like, this is great.
I worked at a stage box, and there's a guy out of Nashville, Mike Lawson, that has played, and that's what he does. He comes in and he plays in between shows, and he's had a couple times where bands have walked out and played with him. Oh yeah, and it's like, wow, that's kind of cool. Yeah. So I've had a few, but it ends up being actually a pretty good gig.
It ends up being a very good gig, and I sold a couple of CDs, and I had a great time, and I ate cinnamon buns out of a propane stove behind the stage.
There you go. Well, I mean, speaking of festivals, you've played Lilith. You played the Lilith.
Well, they had a contest for each city that Lilith Fair was going to play in. There was like this online. I think it was called On Stage at the time. And it was, it was kind of like CD Baby kind of idea. Yeah. And they said, put up a video of you, and people will vote, and if you get the most votes, you'll play Lilith Fair. And I'm like, and I got to it a little late, but I said to my Facebook people, I'm like, hey, you guys, I'm out here, and I sent out to my gig list. I'm like, hey, I'm out trying to do this,
vote for me.
Vote for me, And I said, you got to be patient, you got to listen to at least a couple other people, but and vote for me if you like me better than them.
Yeah.
Right. So the quarterfinals, I'm in the top 10. I moved to the semifinals. I'm in the top 5. I moved to the finals. I'm in the top 3. We go to the champion, and I was either number 1, number 2, or number 3 all through this whole thing. And at the very end, I had been number 1 for the semifinals and for the finals, and I'm like, man, I'm going to Lilith Fair.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for the email, and they said, the band that won is this duo that didn't even make it to number 5 in the semifinals. And I'm like, what about me?
Yeah. I won.
And, the fine print said, you might win the contest, but the decision is our decision.
We get to choose who's going to play.
And, I had taken that as, well, we got to make sure you're a girl and that you wrote the song. Yeah. It's Lilith Fair. It's like, we just got to make sure that. And so I was a little dismayed by that particular ruling. And then a friend of mine said, I got a backstage pass for Lilith Fair. Do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah. Because Hart was going to be like the headliner that night or something. I'm like, yeah, And I'm like, I'm backstage anyway. I'm meeting people. It's whatever. It was, so I had fun. But, yeah, that was kind of that's one of those kind of a raw deal that it comes with the territory. Life's not fair, and just because you won doesn't mean you win.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
So, oh, well.
Well, let's get another song in on that great note. So play what you would have played if you'd have been on, or how about your winning tune?
I think this might have been the winning tune, and if it wasn't, it's appropriate for this particular segue.
Right on. So once again, boys and girls, please welcome Lojo Russo.
Found a parking spot in New York City. Found a new guitar, don't she sound pretty, eh? All my clothes came back in style. Found a sweet woman who can make me smile. Feels like my lucky, must be my lucky day. Oh, am I lucky? Must be my lucky day now. Got a nice job and it pay real good. Got a nice little house in a nice little hood. IRS said, we owe you. Got a sweet woman and she loved me too. Must be my lucky, could be my lucky day. Oh yeah, my lucky, this is my lucky day. Life's so good, I can't complain. So dang happy I could go insane. Big old smile slapped across my face. Don't ask why, I guess that I'm just lucky. Ooh, my lucky day. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, lucky day. Love my family, I love my friends. With a love so big the party never ends. Weatherman says it looks like sun. Oh, I love a sweet woman, know how to have fun. Must be my lucky, feels like my lucky day. Oh yeah, my lucky, could be my lucky day now. Oh hey, my lucky, oh my lucky day. Oh yeah, yeah. Lucky day, lucky day. Oh my lucky day. Yeah, my lucky day. My lucky day. Oh, my lucky day. Now, 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 now. Woo, found a penny.
Oh, my Lojo Russo right here in the Performance Parlor, boys and girls, WQUD, Erie Quad Cities. This is Vintage Radio. All right, well, I noticed that, like, next week you're in Dubuque. So
Yes.
you got a bunch of upcoming shows?
Yeah, now that the summer's, I took a little time off over the winter, and now the summer's coming, and come April, it's just going to be boom, bam, 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 bam.
Well, let's give a little list of where people can come see you.
So on the 30th, I'm at Dimensional Brewing in Dubuque.
Great place. It's a cool place.
Yeah, it looked like it. I haven't played there yet.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool place.
And then I know like the one I'm really kind of looking forward to is this one at the Monarch Hall in Peoria. And I'm playing for the Center for Family and Youth Solutions, their annual Blues for a Cause. The headliner that night is Nick Schneblin. I hope I said his name right. Sorry, Nick. And I'm opening up for him, and I'm looking forward to just playing a big stage for a big crowd for a big cause.
Outstanding.
And just having a great time.
And that's when April. We'll get that right.
Sorry, that's April 5th.
April 5th. That's a Friday. Yep, Friday, April. Yeah, it's a Friday.
It's a Friday. Yeah,
Yep. Friday, April 5th. That's Peoria.
April 5th, yep. And then, about once a month, you can find me up at Miss Kitty's Grape Escape up in Galena. So
cool.
Or just go out to my website, lojorusso.com, and check me out.
That's what I was going to ask. I mean, I know on Facebook it's Lojo Russo Music.
Yes.
But then there's also lojorusso.com where you can find schedule. They can buy CDs from there.
They can buy CDs. They can look at videos. They can sign up for my email, what I call my gig e-minder. And about once a month.
That's a good one.
Once once a month, I'll send out a little newsletter about what's been going on, or a little thought, and then the shows. And if you go out to my Facebook, my shows are right on the cover of my Facebook page.
Right, yeah. So Lojo Russo Music. Man, I tell you what, it's been great having you here. Boy, the time is just...
Oh, Uncle Taz, I know, right?
I already looked at the clock and I went, holy cow, how did that happen? What? Yeah, man. The name of the album?
The name of the new album is Fresh Oil, Loose Gravel. So the fact that I've got some new tunes and some old tunes, it just seemed...
Wow,
we were on a trip to the Ozarks.
What a great title.
And we saw the sign, and I'm like, and I'm taking a picture of it. We're like, what the heck does this mean? And my wife just pokes me in the ribs going, album title. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Wow, Fresh Oil, Loose Gravel. That is just a killer. And we can, of course, expect it sometime before the end of the summer. Sometime soon.
Just keep an eye on it. I know the download will probably come out. The download will come out before the hard copy, but we should be getting this... And you can buy it. I'm doing pre-sales on my Bandcamp site. So through my website, you can go out to Bandcamp. You can go out, just one time.
At Bandcamp.
When all my stuff was up on Bandcamp. So you can look at all my stuff. You can stream all my stuff. You can download it singly or the entire discography at a discount. If you're really digging me, please really dig me. And so.
There's nothing better than self-promotion. If you don't do it, who's going to?
That's right. That's
the way I've always looked at it. If I don't promote me, who's going to promote me? I've got to. Well, I tell you what, I mentioned before, I rarely, very, very rarely ask performers to do a song, whether it's their own or something else, unless I hear something that just lights me up. And off of your album, even though it's an older album, No Scars, No Stories, and I'm telling you what, if you don't, you got to get this album. It's one of the best albums I've heard in a long time, and I listen to a lot of stuff, but it's just a great album. But there's a cover on it that just... And anybody that listens to my show knows I'm an old deadhead. That is like the pinnacle. So when I hear someone cover a Dead tune, it's like, all right, I don't compare it, of course, but if you're going to cover a Dead tune, man, cover it. That's just, and it's my own personal thing, don't play a Dead song bad.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, you can take it and make it your own. I don't care, but don't play a Dead song bad. But on that album, you covered. And I'm not one that says, this is my favorite Dead tune, because there's no such thing.
Right.
But it's up there amongst...
It's up there.
Because it was on the album that brought me to them.
Gotcha.
That brought me to
Mine
the Dead.
was Europe 72.
Oh, was it? Yes.
Yeah.
Mine was... I was young, and a friend of mine's older brother sent me home with Working Man's Dead and American Beauty.
Oh, nice.
In my arm.
Yeah.
Here, go home and listen to these.
Right.
And then that was it.
And I got Europe 72 simply because I could get more music for less money.
Yeah.
Like double album, but it was like the same price as the singles. I'm like, okay, I'll do this.
I'll do this. Yeah. Yeah. And then I got, and that's when I went.
Yeah. And
Yeah, went from 25 watts to 100 watts.
Exactly.
The angels in the heavens sang. The skies turned blue. Yeah.
Broke open.
Yeah, the whole night. H.R. Puffin stuff appeared.
Oh, yeah, right.
And it was all good. Yeah, I mean, it was.
H.R. Puffin stuff.
Yeah. Oh, what a great. People don't realize what a great show that was.
I was a Banana Split fan, too. Remember Banana Split?
Oh,
yeah, man.
Because they played rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly.
That made them so good. They were a rock band. And Katie sitting over saying, what?
Who?
What? Who? What?
Who?
Huh? What?
And just to be, let everybody know, old Uncle Taz and I are still only in our 30s, so it's all good.
I've always been 29 and holding, baby.
I'm 33 and holding.
Holding, yeah.
Well, 33 and a third.
Yeah, well, even better, yeah. All right. Anyway, like I said, I rarely request, but this cover was so great, so I have to ask, would you close out our show by doing Ripple, please?
I would be happy to.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gather round. You deadheads, definitely. You've heard this. I've played it on my show. But once again, Lojo Russo.
If my words did glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on a harp on the strum, would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as if it was your own? It's a hand-me-down. My thoughts unbroken, perhaps they're better left unsung. I don't know, and I don't really care. Let there be songs to fill the air. Ripples in still water, where there is no pebble tossed, no wind to blow. Reach out your hand. If your cup be empty, if your cup be full, may it be again. Let it be known there is a highway that was not made by the hands of man. There is a road, no simple highway between the dawn and the dark of night. And if you should go, no one may follow. That path is for your steps in low. Ripple in still water, where there is no pebble tossed, nor wind to blow. choose to lead must follow. But if you fall, well, you fall alone. If you should stand, then who's to guide you? If I knew the way, I would take you home. La 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 la. La 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 la. If I knew the way, I would take you home.
Oh, my. Oh, old Uncle Taz and Buford here. We're just, thank you so much.
very
Not for a
welcome.
song, but thank you for being on the show. Everybody, Dubuque, she's going to be there next Saturday up in Dubuque.
Right on.
Check LojoRusso.com or Lojo Russo Music on Facebook. Check it out. Go see her. You're going to have a great time. You're going to love the music. We're going to leave you here. We're going to throw some songs on from her album, No Scars, No Stories. Great album. Go buy it, boys and girls. If you see her, get it. I cannot recommend it enough. And we'll be back with Josephus. The schedule here in just a few minutes right here on the Homegrown Rock Show presented by Todd's Mudjacking.